My name is Phil. I'm the head of product management at Edelrid, and that is the new Giga Jul. Looks quite similar to the other Belay devices in our range, and actually it is also working the same way. So we have an assisted braking mode. It helps you hold the fall because it will lock automatically. You would still have to have control of the braking hand or the braking rope, but it locks automatically. But now comes the cool thing. So with the Mega Jul that we introduced a couple of years ago, there are a few drawbacks when you're in an alpine environment and you're climbing multi-pitches. For example, to belay someone from the station is not always very nice in handling. For example, when you would repel, you had the possibility to also reverse the device and repel in a tube mode. But then, for example, if you want to get closer to the belay to remove your carabiner, for example, it would lock. Those were situations where a tube device would be just better in handling than this assisted braking devices. And so we thought about how can we somehow merge those two together, and we came up with this really cool principle here is that you have a slider in the middle and you can slide it up, and this way you have a tube mode. So you can change between assisted braking and a normal manual braking device. And as you can see on the device, we have two braking geometries. If I would just park this in the middle, you see them better. You see here in the back, we have the tube geometry for braking, and here we have the assisted braking mode. And depending on where my slider is, I can change between them. We're trying to get it below 100 grams. It is heavier than the Mega Jul, but I would still say from the versatility of this device, there's no other device on the market that has these variety of options how to use it and still have a really small and lightweight device in this. So the Giga Jul will be available from March 2019. It will weigh around 100 grams and it will retail at $49.95 US and 65 euros. Here we have mostly aluminium, but the parts where you have the rope wear, here the braking geometries on both sides, we have a steel insert. So we achieve the abrasion resistance of steel, but combine it with the lightweight of aluminium. So this one has more a similar geometry to the Jul tool than to the Mega Jul. So it works better, especially for a little bit thicker ropes than the Mega Jul. As I said, like there are some situations where the Mega Jul is not so comfortable in handling. One situation, for example, would be if you arrive at a belay and you want to belay your second. With the Mega Jul, you would have put it in like this, and then on a normal tube, you would come with the ropes from this side. And with the Mega Jul, you had to insert the ropes from this side, from the other side. So that was already like something you have to get used to. And then pulling in rope, especially like a little bit thicker rope, was also not super comfortable sometimes, especially when they were a little bit older. In comparison with the Giga Jul, you would switch the Giga Jul to the tube mode or the manual mode, and then it works like a normal tuber. So basically you can go with the ropes not from this side, but just like you would do with your other belay devices from the other side, and would be able to belay the second. And because also we have now an aluminium plate here in the middle where the guide hole is, we can position it slightly different so the device will hang much better than with the Mega Jul, which gives it a lot of more advantages in the handling of the ropes. Another situation is then when my second climber arrives, how do I belay him when he starts lead climbing? I have basically two possibilities. I can belay him from the belay point here, or I can switch over to my harness to belay him from my body. If I decide I want to belay him from my body, I can just get off the device, get it on my harness, and then I have him in the tube mode, in the manual braking mode. Yeah, and that's the easiest and fastest way. If I decide I'm going to belay from my body, but I would like to have the additional safety of the assisted braking mode, then I would need to get off the rope, switch onto the assisted braking mode, turn the device around, put in the rope on my harness, and now I can belay him like I also do with the Giga Jul, and I have the advantage that it will lock and help me brake or help me hold the fall. I could also belay someone from the belay station. This is, for example, has an advantage if there is a potential that in case of a fall I get yanked up and maybe lose control of the braking hand. So in this case, for example, if I climb with a heavier person, I would recommend to belay from the belay point. And here I can also, let's take this off, I can also decide to belay someone in the assisted braking mode, but then giving out slack can be, with handling, sometimes difficult because of course it can block and I would have to release it. Then of course I can also again flip it around, have it in tube mode, and then insert the rope, and now I have really nice handling, and in case of a fall, I mean, I have the possibility to hold the fall here. The last situation, or the third scenario, is repelling. Here as well, I have the possibility, of course, to repel in the assisted braking mode, but I could also repel in the tube mode. And that was, again, as well the case with the Giga Jul. I was able to belay like this, and I was able to flip the device around and have more of a tube function in repelling. But the drawback here was, if I want to remove my carabiner now and I would like to get closer to the belay point, it would lock sometimes and it would be harder to do it. With the Giga Jul in the tube mode, I would usually back it up with a Prusik, but then I can easily get close to the belay point, unclip my carabiner, and then start repelling again. I'd say the advantage of this device is if you put the rope in the wrong way, or for example, don't turn the device around, you always end up in a tube mode. So the worst thing that you get is still a tuber, or like a manual braking mode. Nothing really can happen where you say now you're going to lose any type of friction or control over there.